Oh, I put it down.
So we're going to talk today about the solo mom, social local mobile mom. All right. Cool. So start with a little bit of a story. Around 4 months back, I go into our laundry room at our house, and we've been using a blue bottle detergent for almost 15 years in our house, and all of a sudden, this visit, it was a green one, green bottle one, and so I thought maybe the blue bottle one wasn't available at the store, and the green one's pitching for a little bit. So I let it go, and then a few months later, the green one's about to get over, and a new green one shows up. So at that point, I go to my wife and say, what happened? What happened to the blue one? I like the blue one. The blue one worked for us, right? What's going on here? And she said something pretty interesting. She said that she was hunting on her, going through her online communities, the stuff that she visits regularly. And she wasn't looking to change detergent, but right there were people talking about how the green one's better for the kids, better for the environment, and more importantly, it was as good as the blue one. And right there, right, 15 years of ingrained behavior, 15 years of where a product actually worked, and that changed, right? And just with the tap of a few keys, that behavior changed. So I started digging into it a little bit more. And she showed me some of the stuff that where she found this information, and some of it she had it on her mobile phone, tablet. She was going through, she showed me the discussion sheet. She posted a few questions. I mean, that whole thing, just the process that took her to finally making that decision. And it wasn't a simple decision. I mean, going from something that you've been buying for 15 years to changing that. Now, I've done startups, I've done creative companies that do mobile, that do social, and I've seen the power of those in impulse purchases, right? When people want to buy, you want to buy a shoe, you want to buy electronic items, one-off things. I've seen the power of that, but the power of these on how they're changing, such ingrained behavior, that was very fascinating. Clearly, the mom is not the average consumer, right? I mean, the mom she's busy. And because she's busy, her habits her habits dictate how she consumes information, how she interacts with that, and how she shops. And for those three things, right, people, places, and products. So today we're gonna have two parts of it. One is we're gonna talk about how pervasive this shift to the solo mom is, and then we're gonna have one of the leading brands talk about what they're doing to stay connected with this new social local mobile mom. A little bit about ourselves. A little bit about us. I have with me Barbara Liss. She heads up digital at Quaker Foods, PepsiCo. She heads up digital and social there. Truly, in my mind, she's extremely humble. But in my mind, she's a social solo mobile expert. From her days at Digitas, at General Mills, being global, but also the fact that her and her 16-month-old daughter are both have active Twitter accounts. So that's Barbara, and she'll talk to us a little bit about what they're doing at Quaker around all of this. And then myself, a product person by background, I helped found a couple of startups, iMedia, which is a mobile video company, and BuySite, which we recently sold to AOL. It was more behavioral advertising. What I focus on at brand.net is about taking offline data, making it actionable online via local targeting, geo-targeting, purchase-based targeting, primarily to help brands reach consumers, the consumer influencer, and as well as the shopper. So managing the entire funnel for brands. Let's get into it. We all know social, local, mobile, right? It is changing the way people are interacting with brands and products. Just to put things in perspective, this year we are expected to generate around 4 zettabytes of social data that will be shared. what is 4 zettabytes, right? So if you think about your tall latte from Starbucks as 1 gigabyte, 4 zettabytes is take all the volume in the entire Great Wall of China and multiply it by 4, and that's 4 zettabytes of data. That's how much we're going to be sharing online in 2013. Right? It's a growth of around 2,000% from 2005 to 2013. Lots of stuff to share. Right? So if you look at yesterday's mom, digital world of yesterday, which is just a few years from today, right, back from today, she wasn't as connected, right? She was less than an hour online. Today, she's over 3 hours, right? And primarily driven through things such as the tablet and other things, right? In fact, when they asked moms in 10 years back, how important was the internet for you, 17% of the moms said it was pretty important. Now it's over 70% that say that they can't live without the internet. Yesterday's mom, the family was much more online, almost 2 times more online activity by each member of the family rather than the mom a few years back, right? So, which means that the mom was getting more of her information not through online media but through traditional means, actually picking a phone or talking to somebody. Which means that most of the consumption behavior was driven from the family to the mom, right? The mom was still the primary shopper, right? Again, a lot of our information came from traditional reading books, reading magazines, and actually talking to people. Well, so because of this, we evolved the way we reached the consumer, where we treated the mom as a shopper, we influenced the consumer, and then this was the cycle that we did, right? But everything has changed, right? With the solo mom, with the outset of social, local, and mobile, and the onset of the solo mom, behavior is changing. If you look at the moms who have smartphones spend around 6 hours a day on the smartphone, talking, taking pictures online, right? And then every third minute is actually spent on a social channel, right, by the mom. In fact, so much so that they're now calling the mobile phone as the life remote for the mom, right? It's the thing that controls everything for her. Majority of moms, smartphone moms, will say, you can take away my TV if you want, but don't take away my phone and my tablet, right? So, the most important thing is that the mommy clubs, right? The stuff where moms used to sit around and talk. Well, those have given way to online communities, right? 80% of working moms, which is around 40% of the households, get most of the information from online sources, online communities, social sites. And then 75% of the moms believe that they couldn't live without the social sites, right? Without their online communities at this point. So clearly the behavior has changed to online communities, right? And that's where she's getting her information. A lot more real time, a lot more. It's not being pulled. It's much more being pushed to her, right? So in which case, the consumption behavior has changed. Now, instead of just having a shopper in the house, you actually have an influencer as well, right? And the access to information is making her a lot more stronger in how she influences the behaviors of her household. Which means, as brands, right, we need to think about not just what we used to do, but also, and not treat the mom just as a shopper, but also, treat her, think about her as a consumption influencer. So how do you approach her? How do you get to that? Right. So a little bit more about the solo mom. 93% of the moms in the U.S. actually have access to some internet, right, at any time. So much so that nowadays, most of this is being obviously driven through tablets and mobile phones, right? I mean, that's where the kids have gone to sleep, and then the tablet comes out, right? So clearly, she has a lot more access, right? And because she has a lot more access, she's relying on it a lot more to actually find stuff, right? When they're polled, is the top two things, the primary thing that comes at the top of where they get information is the internet for products and services, right? Understanding about products and services. And then not just that, they're not just looking at products and services, but they're also looking at interacting with brands, right? Majority of the moms are actually, 77% of the moms are actually following one brand on a social channel. That's huge, right? That means that they are looking at this as a key criteria for them to interact with the brands that they love, right? So all of this leads to, in the old days, it was just the product review sites, but now you have the left-hand side of things, which is where all the social channels are actually becoming a key place where they're getting all of their information, right? So what does this all lead to? Sort of tying it back to my green bottle, blue bottle example, which is it leads to 42% of the moms actually using all these channels and then making a purchase decision on it, right? So that's the key part, that this stuff is not just influencing, it's actually making changes in behavior. So having said that, the solo mom is here to stay, right, clearly, and her influence is growing a lot more. So to talk about how brands need to change, what needs to happen, I'll invite Barbara to take over.
Thank you. Hi. If I knew we were only thing standing between you and lunch, I would have brought you all some Quaker granola bars. I didn't think that far in advance. So what I want to do is just kind of share with you guys some of the things that we're doing in this space around targeting moms. Quaker, we're somewhat fortunate in that our consumers are moms, and that's who we're talking to. So we're not trying to influence her and her kids' decisions. It's more about the mom, but it's still important that we talk to her as mom, as me, and then we separate it in terms of mom as shopper and influencer. And now, as Rajat said, there are so many more places that we can engage with mom and that she's looking for this kind of information, and how do we kind of carefully select what are the most important touch points for us. You had that stat that said 42% have bought something recommended. I mean, I've seen numbers as high as 75, 80% about that kind of level of influence. So, again, it's about mom as that influencer. How do you make sure you're injecting yourself into those places where she's looking for that information? Always about right time, right place, contextual relevance. A lot of it is just common sense, but it's also easier said than done. So for us, I'm going to just quickly go through some examples on social, then mobile, and then local, because I'd love to leave some time if you aren't jumping for your lunchbox to answer any questions that you might have. So for us in terms of social, I think we try to talk to mom on our Facebook page as mom. This isn't the place where we want to push, try this product, eat this product, go buy this product. That's not why she's using Facebook for the most part. So we recently revamped our content strategy to kind of address more of those behaviors. And we have this pillar that we call emotional fuel. Can't stray too far from who we are and what we are as a brand. And we have these quotes, your life has changed when going to the grocery store by yourself is a vacation. And just simple little things like that moms are kind of like, yeah, that's me. I humiliated myself in the panel before by talking about another example. We have another post where it said, you're a mom when you have an audience in the bathroom. And I proceeded to say, yeah, I get that now. And I'm going to stop there. But, it's true. Those are the things as a mom that you get, and it makes you want to share, and it makes you want to click. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want our people to do with our content. And then on the other side is talking about mom as shopper and mom as purchaser. And Quaker has really done very little in the past with this notion of ratings and reviews, but as that content is becoming more and more important and more pervasive, we recently, through a partnership with Bizarre Voice, implemented ratings and reviews on our website. And it's a pretty significant investment in both financial resources, human resources, et cetera. But I think it's something that we've seen already working for us. It's pretty new, so I don't have a ton of data, but we've seen satisfaction scores on our website go up. We've seen the brand teams react really favorably because they're getting kind of real-time information on some of our new products, and we're seeing that other people who are writing these reviews, other people are finding them helpful. So at the end of the day, that's really all we can ask for. I'd love to see us get to a point where we have this across our entire portfolio, and maybe we're doing more to syndicate and push out these ratings and reviews, things like that. But for now, for us, it's a big deal and a good step in the right direction. Okay, so mobile. Mobile means so many things. I think we all agree that mobile is probably the biggest nut we all have to crack, especially for our moms. I mean, we are all addicted to our device. Mom, not mom, man or woman. I mean, most of us go to bed at night and we're like, oh, let me check my email. Wake up in the morning, there's my phone. I mean, it's awful when we all do it. I was saying, I walk through the grocery store with my cell phone in my hand. Like, it's that critical that someone can text me at that point in time. So what we've tried to do is really move beyond just banners, both online and in mobile. So first, we make sure our social content is viewable and readable and built for mobile. I think there's a stat that says something like 85% of people get most of their Facebook content on their mobile device. So if you're creating things that don't translate well to that space, there's really no need in even putting it out there. So this year, for the first time, we introduced iAds. So working with them to create these really rich and engaging experiences that also tie to mom's behavior. We know she's a gamer, we know she loves those moments and she'll engage with those things. So how do we create those kinds of experiences for her online or on her phone? So we have these little games and whatnot. But we've seen like engagement rates 2 times the normal. We'll have our middle word ground dynamic logic kind of attitudinal results. I don't have those now, but we're hoping to see that our messages will come across through these things, hopefully better than traditional banner ads and other things like that. And then what we try to do is always push for the right partners who can help us engage in mobile. I mean, we're an oatmeal company, we make granola bars. Like, we're not ready to be incredible content producers. I don't know if people would come to us for that kind of content. So how do we make sure we've got the right partners? So we've done we do a lot of work with Pandora, who's been incredibly successful for us, and most moms are getting their music from their cell phone. So how do we create that access on the go? So again, it's just making sure that we're in with the right places at the right times with the behaviors that they're doing. We also make sure at the end of these we have the store. I'm back to the iAd, sorry, we have it at the end of our Pandora stuff, but things like where to buy, our flavors, ratings and reviews. Again, just bringing it all together so we can tap into any whim or any behavior that they exhibit. And then finally, local. I think local is the most exciting in a lot of ways. It's still incredibly new, and the amount of data that you have access to and the amount of new technologies that are out there that allow us to really understand our moms, especially as shoppers. I think it's going to become incredibly powerful. I have no answers for you today in this. I don't know what's the best thing. I don't even have results from some of our programs, but we know this is something that we have to learn and do from. So one way we've looked at local is just more about the personal content. So giving them mobile ads, banner ads that talk to where you are, what you're doing at that point in time. So weather. For us, our business is seasonal, so it's really helpful if we can say, oh, it's cold outside, don't forget to eat your oatmeal. Or, hey, it's almost back to school, it's getting warm, go get a granola bar. So just talking into the behavior. And then the other is we did a partnership this year with AT&T that allowed us to geofence. And this really was our first attempt to talking to mom as shopper and how do we drive purchase behavior. So they have technology that allows us to geofence. So when a mom within a certain period of time gets within a geographic radius of one of our stores, how do we push her both content and a text message? Yep. It does, but that might just be that is what it says.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, well then you must be running it on your site. I was like, I'm not sure what that is. Yes, so that's we used your screenshot then as our example.
Oh, wow, I was going to approach you to see if we could get your thing on our site.
I just saved you 5 minutes. Anyway, you can probably speak even better to this, but we're using partners like AT&T to get into kind of the relevant contextual places like Coupon Mom where we can send them these messages. So it benefits both us and our partners like Kroger, for example. We ran a program with them, we had this called Kroger Free Fridays. And so you could say, hey, you're near Kroger, go in and try a sample of our product. We also make sure there's a store locator on here, and again, the ratings and reviews. So really making sure we're tapping into those behaviors. I was told that people are spending almost 40 seconds with the store locator, which is an incredible amount of time to spend with the store locator. I don't have the data yet that says they all used it to go into their local Jewel to buy some oatmeal, but again, just starting to understand how those things work and what's having more impact than others. I think that's where we're finding the value. Don't have the answers, but we're going to get there. Something else that we're going to do soon with my partners at brand.net, they have the incredible ability to target you by kind of shopping behavior and zip code. So for us, we have a competitor out there, shall remain nameless, who's going into the oatmeal business. Well, it's really important for us to kind of maintain our territory and our share. So if we know those markets where they're really strong, we can go really heavy there. And I think that's also an incredibly powerful tool that local allows you to take advantage of. So that's kind of the crux of it. Hopefully, maybe 6 months or a year from now, we can come back and tell you what worked really well and what didn't. But I think we're learning just like the rest of everybody out there. And this is some of the approaches that we've taken recently. So I will turn it back to you.
Cool. So interestingly, from a brand.net perspective, as I said, like, we want to be the marketing platform for essentially the advertising platform for all the way from influencing the consumer and the mom, and all the way to driving purchases. The way we are doing it is actually pretty interesting. We're doing a program with Quaker around, taking all the data that we have, our network. By the way, Coupon Mom, you're part of our white label network as well, which is it's sort of a nice little family out here. There you go. But essentially, we're doing things around, very innovative things around using our data around purchase behavior that we know about the local behavior of the population, tying it to social and advertising. And then, we're doing some interesting things around Pinterest with Quaker and with some other folks as well. Essentially, the key is, finding the right intersection between social, local, mobile, and then how does ads help drive all of these things, right? So that's what brand.net does, and why we are out here.
That's all we got.
That's all we got.
I think we have a few minutes before lunch. We don't want to hold anybody, but if there are any questions.
You've got about 5 minutes.
Oh, well, there you go. We've got 5 minutes. If you have any questions or comments or things that you're doing that you found to be powerful or valuable.
Barbara, you mentioned that people are using the app or they're using the store locator more often. Isn't it like really common that you could buy oatmeal everywhere? Is that something that's like a new thing, and are you going to use that to your advantage to send different messages within that area?
What we're actually using the store locator for is around our new products.
Okay.
So they're not everywhere. You have to build distribution. So yes, Quaker oatmeal, Quaker granola bars, for the most part, most people know are at their store. This is built specifically for our innovation to kind of incent that trial, and hopefully they're like, this was such a fun game. I really want to go buy this new pouch of oatmeal. Where can I get it? And then see that it's available at their local store. So that's a fair question. Yeah.
How are you tying it back to actual sales?
No problem.
Who's that for?
So we have, one of the things that, so brand.net is part of, we are owned as part of Molasses, which is a $2 billion New York Stock Exchange listed company, very big in CPGs on the print advertising side. And so what they've done is over the last 30 years, they've actually built a very strong feedback loop into how print advertising has driven purchases, and then we're now leveraging the same feedback loop for digital advertising as well. So, using the digital techniques, but For instance, one of the things Velasquez owns is the largest redemption house, coupon redemption house in the United States. And that sort of data helps us understand and gives signals around what the purchases are.
Okay, so it's off a click-through rate on a coupon or something?
Well, it's all the way to the purchase in the store itself. So we can drive purchases from an ad into a particular store, and then be able to say how that what exactly got what the actual efficacy for that ad was based on sales.
And I was just joking, I mean, I was being somewhat sarcastic, but I mean, that is the $1 million question, is how you tie it back to sales. So I think some things are easier to measure than others. Sometimes we're just trying to get attitudinal purchase intent,
Right.
things like that we use traditional measures for. Partners like Brand.net or dunnhumby, where you have access to that shopper card data, I think that becomes more and more important for us to find partners who can help us correlate. It's a process. It's just about getting people to believe that these are the right things to do, and that there's sometimes more anecdotal measures that get you to tie to sales, but we are working harder and harder to talk to how things are driving sales, or just even from a messaging perspective, these are marketing mix analysis or Millward Brown, where we can pull apart by our online partners who's having a greater impact on and things like that. So it's tricky, but it's getting better. One more? No? Hungry? Me too. I've done my job. Thank you.